Hello everybody, my name is Rainy Angel and welcome to my channel, Rainy Angel in Spirit. And what I like to do is have controlled out-of-body experiences at will. And by doing this, I use the ADA method, which stands for Awaken Your Dormant Abilities. So I just wanted to talk to you guys about an out-of-body experience I had a couple months ago. I was probably out of my body for about 15-20 minutes. I experienced some pretty cool things in my house. So starting at the beginning, I went into the method, stayed consciously aware as my body was falling asleep. I started to feel really light, like a really light sleep paralysis, just a very calming feeling, maybe some tingling here and there. I felt sudden, mild vibrations, nothing too crazy, just very mild vibrations throughout my body. I remember hearing some frequency noises, because sometimes I hear like these electrical noises. If you guys have had out-of-body experiences before, then you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you just hear these like frequency, electrical, rhythmic noises in your mind. Now, when I came out, I was just hovering above my body, and I remember looking around the room, and I noticed that my room had this very vibrant yet light pink hue to it, like all over the walls. And it was just a really vibrant pink color. It was really pretty. I've seen this before, and I also see this like in my body, in my day-to-day life. Like if I'm looking at the wall, I see this like really light, vibrant pink color. Next thing that happened is I lifted my arm. I just lifted my arm very gently to like roll out of bed. And I remember seeing on my wall by my dresser over there, my shadow, the shadow of my arm, like a very dramatic, like shadow of my arm. And I kind of just felt like in that moment, like she's alive, like I'm awake, like it was kind of dramatic and it was really cool. And next thing I did was I got out of bed very effortlessly. It was very easy. I didn't feel the magnetic pull like at all, like just very like a little bit, but it wasn't like enough to where I felt like I was fighting against like a windstorm, because that's happened before. I walked right through my bedroom door. I love the fact that I don't have to use a doorknob to open the door. I love doing that. Like I do that on purpose. Like I'm just like, man, I don't need to open doors. I just walk through walls. I feel like a ghost. It's just really cool. So, and I fell back into my body after that happened. Then effortlessly jumped right back out, did the same thing, walked right through my door. Then I made my way down the hallway. I have a very long, narrow hallway. And I entered my kitchen. And I remember seeing my cat jumping out of my kitchen cabinet. And there was a mess of papers everywhere, like newspapers and just all sorts of stuff, like just random junk that I keep in there. And I knew that it wasn't really her. I knew it was just in my dimensional space. And it wasn't really her. It was just my imagination. And I got annoyed for a second. I looked at her and I was like, oh, Callie, like, look what you did. Really? Now I have to clean it up. And then I was like, wait a minute. No, I don't have to clean it up. Because that's not really you. And I could have cleaned it up, but because I realized that it's just, I'm on the other side, it's like, it's nothing to worry about. I don't need to clean up anything. So I made my way to the front door. As I was going outside, I see my dog on her leash, and she's trying to break through the door as I'm leaving. And this has happened before, if you have a dog and they try to run out of the house. And then I realized once again, I'm like, that's not really her either. As I can tell when it's really like their energy, like there's a different feel to it. You feel more of a separate vibe. Like you feel their signature. And this was not her. This was just my imagination once again and a stress of mine. And I was like, oh, God, get in the house. You know what I mean? Like, and I for a second like forgot that I was out of my body. Like throughout this experience, I knew where I was, but for a split seconds, like moments, I was like thinking it was like I was in my body and it was in my day-to-day life. But anyways, then I just shut the door and I walked out onto my porch. I have a screened-in porch. And I remember thinking to myself, oh man, this is my opportunity to go somewhere I want to go. And if you guys don't know, I want to go to access time. I want to go way back into the 60s, well, like 1968, 69, and I want to be in the midst of a Doors concert. Like, there's a specific one that I want to go to where it's Jim Morrison reciting poetry, and it's the celebration of the lizard. Love that one so much. And yeah, I'm gonna do that. And I thought of that for a second, and I was like so distracted by all these things. Like, I just thought it was cool that I came out of my body, so I wanted to explore. So I didn't really have a strong intent of doing that, but I knew, like, in that moment, I'm glad I remembered that, because that's gonna happen someday. So then I left my porch, and I'm in my front yard, and it's dark. It's at night. And I remember seeing a car, like headlights from a car coming around the corner. And I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'm going to jump right in front of this car because I know that I'm in my body and it's just going to go right through me. Oh, wow. Kitty just jumped and climbed up that tree. Biscuits. Okay, so he's on the hunt. Anyways, so I went to go jump right in front of the car. Then the car goes around me, and I'm like, okay, so that was in my dimensional space, because if it wasn't in my dimensional space, they would not have seen me, because I am on the other side, and they would not have seen me. They would have just drove right down the middle of the road, but instead they like went off to the side, almost on the sidewalk, and I'm like, dang it. So that was just in my space. Now, when this was happening, I also was like thinking to myself, oh, I gotta find my spirit guides. And this was before I had the experience with actually seeing them. I was still like calling them and trying to figure out who they were. And I was like, spirit guides, where are you? Guides. Like, I didn't have a name for them, so I just called them that. And I didn't see anyone as far as I could remember. And then I turn around and look up behind my house, and I see a bunch of fireworks, like it was the 4th of July. Once again, that was in my dimensional space. And it was just like, pew, 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 you know, fireworks. And then I saw this sort of like net around, like forming in the sky. And it's like a net that you would see on a trampoline, like those giant trampolines with the net. It looked just like that. But I didn't really pay any attention to that. I was like, I don't know. I didn't feel like giving my attention to that. So I moved on. I decided I'm going to jump on my roof. So I went to my backyard and I literally just jumped because I knew I could do this. I jumped right on top of my roof and just jumped right on top of my roof. Was walking around my roof. Walked across my roof to the front of my house. Then I was like, I'm going to jump off, but I'm going to do this very gently. So I like jumped and I started to feel myself fall, like if you were to jump off of something here. But I just remembered that I don't have to fall. So I just gently, just very gracefully landed, like levitated, floated, whatever. I just landed on the ground very gracefully. Then I went back around my house to the side of my house, and what did I do? I was just doing all these like aerial sort of like flips and cartwheels in the air. And I remember, like, because I used to be in gymnastics, and I just remember the way that I landed was like the way that I would when I was in gymnastics, and I would do this, what is it called? Like a front handspring sort of thing, and you land with your one foot in front of the other. I don't know how to explain it, but it was just very graceful, and I just felt like, oh, like, yeah, slay. Anyways. And then this is something weird that happened, but I wasn't really freaked out by it. I thought it was kind of cool, actually. So I focused on my hands, and I'm looking down at my hands, and like right at my fingertips, they're all chipped away and bleeding. Like if someone took if I as if I went like this to the concrete or something, or a brick wall, and I was just scratching, and I'm looking at my hands, I'm like, oh my god, they're like bleeding. But it didn't scare me because it didn't hurt. I didn't feel any sort of pain whatsoever. I actually thought it looked cool. I was like, whoa, cool, like my hands are bleeding. Like, I don't know, it was kind of weird. So, and then I just kind of walked around and explored a little bit, just enjoying being limitless. I remember like the side of my house looked different. Like normally where my driveway is, it was like a walkway of stones, like all the way down the side of my house, and it was really cool. And then I woke up back in my body. And this time I could have like left again, I guess. I don't know, I felt like I was awake. Like I felt like energized after that. I felt like I didn't want to go back to sleep. So I got up, and this was probably, it was late in the night too. I didn't start this method till very, very late in the night. And I woke up, it was, I think, 3:15. I was there for like 20 minutes. Oh, and mind you, it took me about, this was one of the times where I left my body before I even entered sleep paralysis. It was right as I was falling asleep, and my soul just has this like short window to just shoot, exit. Just because I'm so relaxed. I think that's why. That's gotta be it. I really don't know exactly why that happens, but it just happens spontaneously, and it's like a hit or miss thing. It doesn't happen every time. But when I woke up back in my body, and I felt very, in my head, I felt very lightheaded. I still felt like I was there, and that as I woke up and I opened up my journal to write it all down, and as I'm writing it down, I felt like I was gonna leave my body again. I was like, oh my god, like, should I lay down and do this again? Yeah, it was just really cool. It was a really cool sensation in my body. Oh, also, Darius J. Wright has spoken about how you feel very tired and dense, or just kind of just exhausted after accessing information on the other side, whether it's just you coming out for like a minute and just experiencing the energy and the density of everything. So when I came back into my body, I felt that. I felt very tired. Like tired in a sense of like, I don't really want to go back to sleep. I was just like my body was exhausted, you know? And it felt heavy. Like I was like, whoa, I was like lifting up my arm like this, and I was like, you know? And versus when I was out of my body, I felt light as a feather. Like I was like flying and floating. So it was just very interesting. Yeah. And also when I was writing in my journal, I was looking at my bedroom door, and I could still see that pink hue on it, but it was like I was still on the other side. It was vibrant. Like it was a streak of this pink vibrancy across my door. And I was like, whoa, that's so cool. Like, because when you first wake up from any sleep, you're still very much in tune to the other side, and you see things like that. And it was so magical and cool. I really loved that experience. And then from that point on, I realized, you know, I love my dimensional space and everything, but I really want to experience something more. I want to go somewhere. I want to access time. I want to go to that concert. I want to go see Jim Morrison and the Doors. I want to see them perform. So there's a handful of places that I intend on going, and even dimensional spaces that I want to create, that I've seen in visions, but I just haven't actually gone there yet. So yeah, let me know if you guys have had any out-of-body experiences, spontaneously controlled, using the AIDA method. I want to hear your experiences. I love chatting about it because I learn a lot from you guys, and you know, I could help you guys out too. And it's just a lot of fun exploring the limitless universe. You just think of things and it appears right in front of you. Like I love reading books, and they have the fiction section, right? And I'm looking at it, I'm like, I'm reading this stuff, and I'm like, this is not fiction. This is real, because your imagination is real. On the other side, if you were to think of like butterflies and really focus on butterflies, it starts to appear right in front of you. Versus here, it's completely different. It's the opposite of who we really are. It's the opposite of home. But it's still so much fun. I enjoy this life here on Earth too. I really do. Then it's like you go there and you're like, whoa, you're just mind blown of all the things you can do. And it's just so fun. And you want to keep going back. And you just have a craving for more and more. So, alrighty guys, so that was my out-of-body experience. And yeah, thank you for watching. Y'all have a good day.